What's that hand plane doing over there? It's not dusting any crops. Aloha nerds, and welcome back to TheSalwag's Why It's Great Gut Reaction. I'm your host, TheSalawag, and on this show, I watch things and react from the gut. So, I most recently had the pleasure of watching North by Northwest, directed by Alfred Hitchcock, starring Eva Marie Saint and James Mason and Martin Landau. Let me tell you, North by Northwest is a genuine treat. It's a genuine delight. I've heard about this movie for a long time in film school. It was one of the, it's one of the films that tell you gotta watch. You gotta watch Psycho. You gotta watch all of the Hitchcock works, and North by Northwest is on that sort of top 10 list. Never got to it until just recently on HBO Max. I saw it. I was like, oh, seems like a good opportunity to watch it. Don't gotta rent it anywhere. It's already on HBO Max. I'll take it. And wow, like what an entertaining, sweet, fun ride. I've heard of it as a spy thriller. These guys try to kill this guy, and it sounds serious when you hear about it. Because essentially the plot is that a man he's a businessman, a marketing man, an ad man. Not James Mason, Cary Grant, an ad man. And flying a little low there. So anyway, Cary Grant is an ad man, and he's your casual city slicker, not a bad guy, but not a 100% altruistic guy either, just a casual city slicker guy. And he gets mixed up in a little spy game situation where bad guys who don't have names right away kidnap him and confuse him for a secret agent. And it's very confusing at first how they did that. And really the whole movie is Cary Grant sort of on the run from these people who are trying to kill him, thinking that he's a spy, but he's actually not a spy. And so he sort of has to resort to spy tactics, ironically, in order to figure out what the hell is going on to him. So it's a very it's a zany little movie from the 50s, but it's very timeless. I think if you shot this movie today with that script, outside of maybe adjusting for cell phones a little bit, that would still be a great, entertaining movie. This is the movie, of course, that has the famous crop field plane attack sequence. In that sequence, Cary Grant's standing on a street corner, sort of in farmland, in farm territory, and he's waiting for someone to arrive. And as he's waiting, a bus passes by, it stops, it picks someone up, the bus passes, and he sees this plane just flying around. And all of a sudden, once he's all by himself, the plane guns for him, and literally guns for him. There's guns on that plane. And it's an amazing sequence. It's crazy how, actually, Mission Impossible 3 sort of references this framing that it happens in this scene in North by Northwest, where Cary Grant's standing there, and it's a shot a little wider than this one. You can sort of see his midsection in the background and everything. It's a beautiful crop field. And then cut to this shot of the plane coming at him, and it's coming at the camera. And so you have, a shot of Cary Grant like this, and then a shot of the plane coming at him. And he starts running. And he starts running. This fucking plane. The fuck? He starts running from the plane, and you know, it's gunning for him and all that stuff, and it's crazy, and so he's and yeah, that sequence is just famous for how visceral it still feels today, even though there's just something kind of off about the way it's shot. I can't put my finger on it, you know, and I can't tell if maybe Cary Grant is in front of, you know, not a green screen, but a rear projection, because the way he runs is so. There's an odd stiffness to it, as if he's running in place, but it does at the same time feel like he's really running. It's very weird. There's a lot of physical comedy and physical behaviors that Cary Grant performs in this movie. For instance, spoiler alert, if you're interested in seeing this wonderful delight of a movie, watch now before I spoil the movie. Okay, here we go. So, Cary Grant is a great physical actor in this movie. He does a lot of great little gags. In an earlier sequence in the movie, they attempt to the bad guys make Cary Grant drunk, and they put him in a car and they make it look like he's driving. They drive to a certain point, put him in the driver's seat, and trying to get him to go over a hill. And so Cary Grant, who is literally in a stupor at this point, all too easy to move around, suddenly wakes up as soon as the car starts moving. And he takes control of the car. And he starts control of the car. And the bad guys are just stunned. They're like, what? This guy is drunk out of his mind on the craziest liquor we could possibly give him? The closest thing to moonshine that's on this state? Holy shit. And that's what's happening in their minds, because they think he's a spy. But in his mind, he's like, I mean, this is a movie where you know for sure someone on the crew knew exactly what it was like to be blackout drunk or drunk and driving or doing some kind of silly ne'er-do-well stuff, because Cary Grant really nailed it. I believed he was drunk that entire time, because it is a complete sequence of him miraculously dodging cars and not hitting people on the road, being this movie is so anti-James Bond. It's anti-James Bondness is the humor. That's the intentional humor they're going for, because he's a regular guy in this situation, not a spy. And it's nuts how well he plays being drunk, but also being the character, but also being hilarious, but also being believably in danger all at the same time. And that's really his superpower and his super strength in this movie. And what's wonderful is we do get a femme fatale in this movie. So Eva Marie Saint plays Eve. She's a beautiful woman who he meets on a train when he's trying to escape from all the bad guys and everything else he's caught up in. And they kind of have this instant moment of chemistry, and she helps him out. And they sort of start dating on the train. Now, if you know Alfred Hitchcock's movies, and if you just know spy movies, you know there's no way this woman is helping this guy out that fast. There's sort of a sense of like something always feels like it's up, because the movie from the jump has spy characters and situations going on. So you're always just a little bit uneasy, no matter how nice it seems. And really, that niceness and that pause is the plot and the process that the characters are going through. Because at this point in the movie, although the action does need to slow down, there's a plot service situation going on with that. The slowing down of the story when he meets the young woman, Eve, that is part of the villain's plot. She ultimately, spoiler, if you couldn't tell by the way I was phrasing it before, she's working for the bad guys, and they put her on that train just in case he showed up there, and she's working for them. So it's just fun to see they're having this whole beautiful romance that on his side looks like, whoa, man, yeah, I'm on the run, but I just met the most beautiful woman in the world, and we're totally hooking up, and it's working out. And on her side, it's like, my boss told me to do this. My boss/boyfriend told me to do this, so yeah. It's just like, and even though a lot of her point of view is sort of hidden in the dialogue, they don't talk about it too much. They do address it, but they don't get into it that much, because this is Cary Grant's story of how he's betrayed. But you see in her performance the conflict and the pain of what she's doing, and that makes her an interesting dimensional character. So the movie has a lot of that great stuff where characters are multidimensional and entertaining, and it's very enjoyable that this is a spy movie, but full of humor and full of sweet, good people that do mean well, and then even some suspicious, supposedly good people who do questionable things. This whole movie's about the gray area, and there's one notable scene that I'm sure film historians have probably talked about, where the movie literally turns black and white, and it's at the point of revelation between Cary Grant's character and Eva Marie Saint's character, where he's confronting her, and they're both realizing the same thing at the same time. She is working for the bad guys, and the scene goes black and white, where the hotel room is grayscale, and he is in grayscale. This whole movie, he's wearing a gray suit, which kind of suggests sort of morally gray, but also it's not a dark gray, it's a light gray, but it is basically kind of grayscale, like a suit you would see someone wear on a black and white TV show, because it's black and white, so they don't need to actually wear color. But in that sequence, all of a sudden, he walks into a black and white room, and the only thing that has color is Eva Marie Saint, and she's in a red dress. The woman in the red dress, the red herring, the one meant to lead you astray. And that was such a visually cool experience, the way it actually literally snuck you into that sequence without realizing it's happening, but all of a sudden you're in a black and white room with a girl in a red dress, and it's like red dress, red herring, caught red-handed, all these things kind of happening at the same time in this one image. I thought that was really cool filmmaking right there. Like, the fact that the action still basically holds up, even though today's action movie experience has certain expectations, but I like how believable and real the action sequences actually were. Even the drunk car chase sequence, where he gets chased by the cops in that sequence. I forgot to say that. When he's driving around, the cops see him driving erratically through the road and try and go get him, and they put the sirens on, and it is a chase sequence. And then also the bad guys are following after him as well. So it's a three-way chase sequence right in the beginning of the movie. But I mean, it looks great. It looks like a great action sequence, but it also does look realistic. Like, oh, this is realistically how you would get through it. There's no extraordinary, fantastical stunt. Well, there's a couple little gags, but they're not so destructive and brutal. It's not trying to blow your mind. It really, ironically, the humor in it comes from how realistic the cars just stop and the guys get through, or the cars just narrowly make it and the guys get through, but not in like a corny way, but really a believable way. And it's just that's kind of the humor of it. Even this conflict between Eva Marie Saint and Cary Grant, when they reach this scene, they don't address it right away, but they talk through sort of subtext about it because they don't want to talk about it. It's like, this is the heartbreak of his life. It's like, I thought you were going to save my life, and you're actively trying to kill it. Which one would say is the common situation with all couples. One of them is trying to kill the other for sure. You never quite know what's going on there. The movie has so much character and so much heart, and the conflicts are made from the situations but feel believable in character. And damn, what a wonderful ride. This movie is a great ride that I feel, if you love movies, period. If you love movies and you don't mind, it does at points look and feel like another time, but that's actually kind of the majesty of it. The movie still looks wonderful in HD. And definitely during the car chase sequence, where that's at night. And we know how bad night sequences look these days in movies. Back then, they used a lot of light, and they had really nice looking cars. So watch it for that sequence if you love action. It's a good family movie. Like, it has conflict. There is some violence. It gets a little scary a couple times, but all in the service of this kind of genuine, fun reality. And Austin Powers without the filth. But some people like a little bit of filth. But yeah, if you take all the dirty sex jokes out of Austin Powers, and it's just a genuine, sweet movie about a guy who meets a girl in a spy situation, that's what a fun, wonderful experience this movie is. So if you haven't seen it, go check it out. I didn't spoil everything, even though I spoiled everything. The experience of the movie is worth getting through it. So that's my review for North by Northwest. Go check it out on HBO Max right now. I have been TheSalwag. Alright, remember, if you like what you see, don't subscribe, and don't comment. Goodbye. Catch you later, or not. Goodbye. Help. Oh, God, no! Oh, no! Ah! Oh, and before you go, I just wanted to give a little shout out to Martin Landau, who appears in this movie as a henchman. He's a creepy-faced henchman. He's a young guy. He looks like he's in his 20s or something. He looks like a baby. I remember growing up looking at this guy as like he's already an adult, gray hair, but he's playing like fatherly good figures, and he does play. I think he's still played some bad guys. But this is the guy from Pinocchio and X-Files and The Majestic. This guy that, for me, has shown up in movies as that kind of good guy character. So it was really something to watch this movie and go, hey, who's that face? Who is that face? He's so creepy and evil, but I think I recognize him. I think he's played somebody else. So that was just a fun little thing to see. So for those of you who love The Adventures of Pinocchio way back when, with that actor from that show that we all love, Pinocchio, The Adventures of Pinocchio is a movie I need to go back and see now, because I loved it as a kid, but it had some scary sequences that made me not want to watch it again. But Now I got to go back and see that. So for the fans from children of the '90s who love that movie, if you still love that movie and movies like it, you're gonna love this. You're gonna love North by Northwest. This great movie. And Eva Marie Saint is Clark Kent's mom in Superman Returns. And I was like, okay, I know why I recognize you now. But good God. She was a babe.